Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another video. So since the last video I spoke about, you know, proposals and marriage and stuff like that, I figured that in this video I will go into the divorce process. Now I'm going to start with the brothers first, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm enticing the women, you know, giving them information on how to destroy their marriage or get out of their marriage or anything like that. So I'm going to start with the men, and then I'll do the sisters last. So, you know, y'all won't be saying I'm a home wrecker or something like that. But it's pretty easy actually for the men. It's not easy for the women to get divorced, to be honest with you. The men only have to go to the courthouse and express that they want to get a divorce, and it's that easy. Just like that, you got your divorce. All right, but first let me get into what you need to present. First of all, you need to be a resident. That's number one. Number two, yeah, you have to have a valid Emirates ID and visa. All right, and I'll tell y'all what happened to me later. Even if it runs out, like in the process, you gotta start. They close everything. You gotta start all over after you get your stuff up. After you get everything valid. So yeah, he made me nervous riding up on me. I was like, what's that? Now I see I'm on a well-lit street, but they don't know I got these hands. But anyway, if you're from Philly, you know what I'm talking about. But you gotta have a valid Emirates ID and passport, visa. And the men, you have to, whatever emirate that you live in, you just go express go to the courthouse and express the fact that you want to get a divorce. They don't ask you like why or anything like that. Tell them you want to divorce your wife. You have to also give her Emirates ID. Your wife also has to be a resident. You can't divorce her legally without... No, you know what? I'm not going to say that. Do you have to be a resident? All right, I'm trying to think back on a situation. There was a brother. He brought his wife over, and he sponsored her. He was an imam here. Sponsored her, but they weren't married legally. So yeah, he sponsored her. She was a resident. So yeah, you have to bring her Emirates ID and her visa. And yeah, because of course for the women, she has to have a valid Emirates ID when she applies, and she has to give her husband's valid Emirates ID and visa. So yes, you'll have to bring your wife's your wife's documents, valid documents, and you have to present yours as well. Tell them you're going to get a divorce. They give you the papers. It's done the same day. It's done. It's over. You give her the divorce documents, and you know, that's it. That's when you just wanted to be over. If you taking her, you know what? I'm not even going to get into all of that. I'm not even going to get into all of that. The marriage stuff, and if he pronounced the first talaq, and you got divorced legally in the system, but she's still in the house with you because you only pronounced the first talaq, but you didn't want her under. Listen, I'm not. It's so many variables. People got crazy situations, so never mind. I'm talking about the people who don't play games. They wanted to be over. They're separating and going there. They're going their separate ways. There's no yeah, they're going their separate ways, even though in the courts Yeah, you have to express if you want to still be with her or something like that. Then y'all get counseling. But if he go in there, the man goes in and says, yeah, I'm divorcing her, it's over. She get her divorce papers, you're done. You gotta end the period, of course, so that you can't get remarried. Your papers will state when you got married, get divorced. So if the woman wanted to get remarried, she wouldn't be able to unless it was after the fact that after the date of the divorce, stated on the divorce papers. All right, so that's it for the men. It's super straightforward and simple. For the women, what you gotta do? The women have to do a lot. So you have to, as a woman, go and file. You have to file for divorce. Documents have to be valid. If it's expired, don't even try it. They don't care. They can't do anything with that because you're not valid. You don't have a valid Emirates. If you have a Emirates ID registered in Dubai, you cannot come to Ajman and open up your case. You have to go to Dubai, even if you live in Ajman. Okay? And that's the same for any other Emirate. Wherever Emirate your Emirates ID is registered in, that's the court you have to go to. Alright, so the woman has to go file. Open up a file. And then you have to explain why you want to get a divorce. What happened. And then you put down how many children you have, if you have any children, and how much, the money that they ask you how much money you want, for the nafaqah. And then they set you up with a meeting for the marriage counseling. And it's a long process. It takes months. I think it took about 6 months for me to finalize it. And sisters told me that was fast. All right, so let me get back to the steps. Went to marriage counseling. I only had to have one meeting because I told the sister, no, thank you. He said his piece, trying to convince her he doesn't want to get a divorce. Of course. Well, of course. He don't want to get a divorce. I'm changing, blah, 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 all that good stuff. But I skipped the part. This is my own situation. I planned mine, of course, 2 years in the making. So I had already moved out, got me a place, and then I filed. Right? And I didn't even know, or I didn't remember, because I did have knowledge of this, but I didn't even remember that you have to have the woman, in order for her to actually get custody of any kids, she has to have a place to live. Otherwise, sisters, if you get a divorce and you don't have a place, they're not going to give you the children. The children are going to stay with the father. But usually, they'll force the man to get you a place to stay, depending on the situation. But if you don't have a place, the children have to stay with him until you get on your feet. That's automatic, because of the welfare and the well-being of the children, which makes sense. So anyway, I was like, alhamdulillah, I had my own place, because I had to give them my address and then give them his address. So they knew, like, oh, okay, you live in this area, he lives somewhere else, so you have a place to live. Wonderful. So that weans out a lot of things. So you go for marriage counseling. I was already done. I made up my mind. There wasn't nothing that anyone could say to me. The sister was trying to persuade me. Why? He says this. He's going to change. He's going to do better. Just try. So many years. 19 years is a long time. I'm like, no. Why not? I'm like, because 19 years is a long time. So why would I waste any more time? Just to, waste another year to do what? Just to wind up at the same place? It doesn't make sense. But, the Muslims a lot of times are naive, especially when it comes to men where we come from, who got the gift of gab, and they make themselves seem like they all miskeen, and, I just really want to work it out, and blah, blah, blah. And the sister probably felt like, oh, you got to give him another chance. I'm like, yeah, that's that female you know, empathy and nah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sis. I don't want them. She was like, well, you know, that's her choice at the end of the day. Yep, exactly. Thank you. So we can move on to the next phase. So what's funny is you have to register your points and why you getting a divorce. So once they send you over to the court and you have a meeting, you don't go straight to the court meeting. Actually, it's like a few steps before that. You sit with like a pre-judge, and they read to the divorcee, the ex-husband or the husband to be ex, what you said, and then they say you have to go and register your complaints or your counter complaints. Of course, he didn't have any. He just said, all right, whatever she said, yeah, I just want to, you know, go ahead and move forward. Great. Exactly. They were like, she said this and she said that. You don't have anything to say? He's like, well, there's more stuff that she said. She said this and she said that. You don't have anything? He's like, no, just whatever it is. You know, yeah, I know. I read it. I got it. Let's just get, you know, go through with it. So they were kind of perplexed that there was no fight, no feedback, no counter argument or anything like that. So yeah, those are the steps you gotta go through. It's nerve-wracking. You don't really want to go through it. You gotta tell stuff and have mercy on people so you don't tell it all. It's like, I'll just listen. I'm trying to make it, you know, as bad as possible, but not lay everything out so you don't embarrass somebody, you don't embarrass the person. But it was enough for you know, alhamdulillah, for the divorce to be granted. But that I'm moving too fast. So after the back and forth with the reading of my complaints and him not registering anything, him just going through with it, whatever I said, they set me up with a meeting with a psychologist on their tab. Of course, they paid for it. Of course, paid for it to make sure I didn't have no mental problems. They want to make sure I was stable. They asked me about my background. They asked me about my upbringing, my household. Did I have a good relationship with my father? I was like, oh. I said, actually, yeah, I did. MashaAllah, I had an excellent relationship with my father. You know? But, yeah, that's what they did. So they were like, okay. So they registered everything after my visit to the psychologist. And, yeah, they gave us a date to go to the main judge. And basically he was reading off everything, reading off the marriage contract, what my mahar was. By the way, it was, never mind, I don't even want to say, but alhamdulillah, that's when I was on my, you know, I just want that's all, just give me some books, you know, I just want some kutub. So that's what I asked for. But mashallah, so the sheikh or the judge, sorry, the qadi, he asked me, he said, what were the books? That's what he said, because it clearly said on there what book that I had asked for books. He said, what books were they? So I told him. And he's like, mashallah. And then, you know, they asked him based off of what I said. They were like, well, what happened? You don't have nothing to say? Like, what happened? And then he started saying, you know, making his excuse and what happened and whatever. And they were like, okay, well, you know, that's a violation and you're going to have to pay a fine. So, yes, if you, the husband, are found to be the violator, they're going to tell you the ayat from the Quran about the violation of the marriage or what you violated. And then you got to pay. And then they gave the ayat, mashallah. And, yeah, they fine you for your violation. And then they give the woman her monthly payment for her 3-month iddah period, or if she's pregnant, you know, until she drops her load, and however much he's supposed to pay for the children. Now, I told them I wanted to keep one child. Custody of one kid because she's young, and the other ones I want them to stay with him, custody for him. That's written, so you can make that arrangement as well. But I believe if the woman says she wants all the children, then it's going to be upon him to provide housing and things like that. However that goes, I don't know. I didn't really talk to anyone who had that situation. I did hear about it, but from my understanding, the father has to do that. And if he doesn't comply to any of the rulings in a divorce, then you go and you open up a case again and complain that he didn't do anything, that he didn't give you, and he'll get in trouble. You get locked up over here. So I'm just letting y'all know, you know, that's the process. They gave me the divorce, alhamdulillah. They were trying to say, alhamdulillah, I understand Arabic, because they was like, they had a translator in there. Me or him didn't disclose the fact that we understood Arabic or that we spoke it. So the qadi and the counselors, you know, were going back and forth and talking, and the qadi said, you know, inshallah they'll be able to reconcile. You know, that's a long time. Give them 3 months, you know, and then we'll do another date. And I was like, no. With my crazy self, no, I'm waving my arms, no. I threw them off because they started laughing. It was like, what? You understand Arabic? I was like, yes. No, I've been planning this for 2 years. I have my own place. No, we don't need to work anything out. We don't need to do anything. It's final. No, just tell him to divorce me now. So they were like, all right, you ready to pronounce the divorce? I'm sorry, y'all. You know I gotta tell y'all a story. I can't just tell you the process without telling y'all the story, right? So, and they was like, okay, he pronounced the divorce. And I was like, Allahu Akbar, thank you. All right, we're done, finished, okay. They were like, all right, your documents are going to be ready. You can see your documents in your email and also in the court system. And you know, I wish he said, you know, may Allah grant y'all success. And I was like, Ameen. All right, and we're done. And I was happy. I was happy as I don't know what. That's all I'm gonna say. Happy and relieved. Happy and relieved. So yeah, those are the steps. For the woman, for the man, he walks in, says, I want to divorce her, I'm finished. He gets his papers. She gets her walking papers. Automatically, the woman, she got to go through a lot. I don't know, y'all never knew that. I mean, I'm sure you did know this, but the reason why divorce is not in the hands of the woman, it's not that easy, because women are emotional. Everybody knows that. Women are emotional and sometimes unstable. So they might ask for a divorce, you know, because she's mad, she's angry. So they need to find out, like, what's going on? Why you want to get a divorce? What's the issue? What's happening? You know? And men can be hasty too, and do things that's out of spite, divorce out of spite or whatever. But that's not the norm. That's not the norm. And that's the Sharia. That's how Allah made it. It's not in the hands of the woman. The woman has to seek and request it or ask for khula. They wanted to have me, you know, get my nafaqah for 3 months for being in iddah and things like that, and you know, all of that stuff. But yeah, we were already in separate houses. It's all good. So yeah, that's the process. That's the process, y'all. Let me go over it again. The woman, for the woman, make sure your documents are valid. Emirates ID, visa. You go on file. You state your case. Why you want to file? You tell about the children. How many children you have, if any. How many years you've been married. Why you want to get a divorce. What was the details. You have to bring a copy of his Emirates ID and visa. And also a copy of his building number, which is called something Makani. Yeah, a Makani number. Every building in the UAE has a Makani number. M-A-K-A-N-I. Makani. So they're going to ask you for that. So that number can be found outside of the building. It's like a gray and orange plate, and it says Makani on it, and then it had the numbers under it. So that's where you find the Makani number at. You gotta have that when you go file. Then they set you up. Oh, and it costs money, of course. It costs money. If you don't speak Arabic, well, in Dubai you should be fine. Sharjah, you probably need a translator, or they may speak English. I'm not sure. And Ajman, the women, they didn't speak English. So the people who came in that didn't speak Arabic, they needed help. They needed a translator. So if you're getting divorced in Ajman, being registered in Ajman, then you need a translator. But most of y'all are coming in through Dubai, so you know, you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, because I had previously went to see a lawyer actually. And you know how much they were charging? When I tell you they were trying to charge me 28,000 dirham, between 25 to 30,000 dirham to go and do what I did. And then mashallah, one of the lawyers, she was like, oh, you could just go file yourself. I said, what? Why is it so much money? I mean, before I knew better, I was like, well, I guess I just gotta suck it up. And subhanAllah, that's a lot of money for a divorce, boy. These lawyers don't play. These law firms, they don't play. But yeah, alhamdulillah, I was able to go in on my own. They told me where to go. Well, I had to go a couple of places. Went to the courthouse, and they were like, no, you got to go over to family court. And I was like, okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I had to get stuff I didn't know. So I'm telling you based off of my experience. What papers you had to get, things like that, what you had to bring, what they're going to ask you for. And, you know, you don't want to relive that stuff, but you got to go through it in order to get the divorce. And you get divorce documents. It has a stamp on it, approved by the Emirates that you're in. And if you ever want to get remarried legally here, then you have to present those documents. You have to present your divorce documents if you want to get remarried as a proof that you're divorced. And that goes for anybody else that's coming over here. If you have children and you're divorced and you want to get married eventually, like legally, you wanted to be registered, which I recommend. You know, I recommend, but you know, y'all do what y'all want. I recommend doing it legally so that you're protected and you'll get some rights, and not have somebody just marry you on the side. It'll be legitimate Islamically, but if you have any children and you don't have a marriage certificate or proof that you're married over here, yeah, that child is not going to be right. You're going to have a problem. You have a problem. You better produce something. And if he does anything to you, you can't take him to court. You can't do anything. So I don't advise you to be over here get married under the radar, you know, with no marriage certificate, like how people do in the States. Don't do that. I mean, but if somebody marries you here, actually, like if you get a sheikh to come and marry you, they're going to be documents. They just might not necessarily be registered. They won't be registered with the government. But you'll have a marriage certificate. It's not registered yet. So I would suggest you to register it with the government so that it's in the system. You won't have any problems. Just for your protection. And I'm going to say this. This is the first time in my life, in my Muslim life, that I ever felt like I got my rights. In the West, you already know Islam is not the jurisdiction. The masjid can't force anybody to do nothing. The worst thing that can happen is that the person gets shamed in the community. But other than that, people take the Sharia as a joke. And they implement it here, which felt amazing. It felt amazing for a qadi to deal with my case, hear me out, tell me what was the violation, tell me I had rights, tell me I had everything. It just felt like support. It felt like support that I never had. You just can't get it. You can't. The masjid is not, you know, one ear and out the other. The person, he don't fear Allah, he is one ear and out the other, right, whatever. What they gonna do? Nothing. Masjid, the imam is not, what is he? He's not the police, he's not nothing. So, if the person don't fear Allah, he's not religious in that sense. Well, his religiosity doesn't go as far as wanting to give someone rights. then they're going to violate you. They don't care. They don't follow rules. I don't care how many books he has. I don't care how long his beard is or how white his thobe is or how high his thobe is. If that man don't fear Allah in reality, you won't get nothing. He going to violate you and he going to oppress you. And sisters, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't care how many classes he sit in. I don't care how many ulama he quote. I don't care how many. I don't care if he speak Arabic or like I said, with a massive library. It doesn't matter if he don't fear Allah. So yeah, I felt supported, ni'mah, happy, relieved. All right, y'all. If you have any questions for the women, y'all can just contact me. If you have any more questions or you need some more details. But yeah, I had to tell a few sisters that, like, listen, when they contact me, how do you get a divorce? And they didn't even know that I had already been through the process, but I was just telling them, you know, what you need. And some people in some really jammed up situations, they really are. People change, or they really show themselves when you make hijrah. The men take advantage. Some. Of course, it's not everybody. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but yeah, it's people in some really jacked up situations. So, Allah is your wali. For the women who feel like they may be stuck, Allah is your wali. You need to ask Allah for help. Make your plan. Nothing is impossible. The people can't help you. Maybe other information, perhaps. But that's when you have to call on Allah. You have to get help. You have to get help. So that's what I have for y'all this evening. And thanks for tuning in. And I will see you all in the next video. Inshallah. Don't forget that Hijrah mandate sacrifice. Ma'as salama.